Hey guys, here Brian Stevens at the National Real Estate Post. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. Do me a favor, if you like what we're doing, make sure you share it, you like it, and make sure you put comments down below. And of course, any input is always welcome. Listen, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. I put in the comment section that foreclosures are back and happy days are here again. And prove me wrong if you disagree with me. I don't think that's the case at all. In fact, I think that's exactly what we need to have happen right now. You know, the thing is when you don't have defaults to the level that we don't have defaults right now, that tells me that the GSEs, Fanny, Freddy, and Jenny actually are underwriting too tight of a book of business, meaning they're not serving underserved communities and they're not serving those that don't have perfect credit. In fact, if you look at the average credit score of anybody who gets a Fanny, Freddy, Jenny loan, FHA, VA, your conventional stuff, the average credit score is north of 750, and that's unreasonable, and it really leaves a lot of aspiring homeowners on the outside looking in. But what we all know right now is that it really doesn't matter because there's not enough inventory out there for anybody, even if they wanted to buy a house. So credit score is high, credit score is low. If you can't afford the house, it really doesn't matter. The other thing of interest that I think is worth pointing out, and I don't know if you saw this, but the CEO of KB Homes, he came out and said a couple of days ago that the state of real estate right now and what's going on with all the measures and moves that the federal government, the Federal Reserve have taken to get property values to go down, yet that hasn't happened. Raising rates, raising the Fed rate, the Fed fund rate, which is going to raise interest on everything but mortgages as well. That hasn't really done anything to affect property values. So the CEO of KB Homes, he came out and said the other day, he goes, this has put home builders in the driver's seat for years to come. Think of the audacity of somebody who's going to say that. It's actually pretty crazy. But here's my point, and there's a couple of points here. The first one is, Cenlar appointed a new senior vice president of default operations. Now, this is interesting that it's going to make news over here. New Jersey-based mortgage loan subservicer Cenlar FSB has announced that Ingrid Jaschok, I believe her name is pronounced, has been appointed Senior Vice President of Default Operations. As SVP of Default Operations, Ingrid will oversee all business segments within the default servicing portfolio, including early and late-stage defaults. In addition to those duties, Ingrid will develop and implement strategies to ensure goals are achieved while enhancing the homeowner experience and meeting investor regulatory and compliance guidelines. So you have one of your major subservicers coming out and saying, hey, look, we've got this new person who's going to come in here and oversee our default operations. Listen, you don't buy a soccer ball unless you plan to play soccer, right? You don't buy a baseball bat unless you're going to go out to the fields, and you don't hire a new SVP and make a big splash about this whole thing unless you expect to see your defaults rising. Does that sound reasonable? The other one is that, and of course, where there's smoke, there's fire. Overall performance of servicing portfolios has declined in December. The Mortgage Bankers Association latest loan, and I'm going somewhere with this, latest loan monetary survey has revealed that the total number of loans down forbearance nationwide continues to fall, dropping by 3 basis points from 0.26 to 0.23 on December 31st, 2023. The MBA estimates, get this, that 115,000 homeowners are in forbearance plans nationwide, as mortgage servicers have provided forbearances for approximately 8.1 million homeowners since March 2020. Here's the deal. In December 2023, the share of GSE loans, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in forbearance declined 1 basis point from 0.16 to 0.15. In short, what's taking place here is those folks are coming out of forbearances, believe it or not, those still exist, and they're coming out of forbearance, and what's taking place is as they come out of forbearance, we're starting to see the default rise. And that makes sense, doesn't it? So as forbearances end, and you have to start making your payment again, a lot of these folks who are carrying part of that $1 trillion in revolving debt that we have at the highest interest rates we've seen since the early 1990s, courtesy of the Fed, are not able to make those payments. They're cash poor right now, and when you consider inflation, this is becoming something of a problem, and this would be one of the reasons why companies like Cenlar are appointing new SVPs to their default operations. So let's just go on the assumption that I'm right. Let's assume for a moment here that this in fact is taking place, and it seems to be the case. Why would it be good if foreclosures are going up? Well, the big reason is because we don't have enough inventory. And frankly, another reason is folks who are in forbearance who are not making their house payment are also not paying their insurance. And when they're not paying their insurance, they're not adding to the coffers of communities all around the country. And if you've looked at the state of disrepair of a lot of the cities that are around the country right now, They certainly need as much money as possible, right? The last thing we can afford is people sitting in houses not making their payment and not adding to the bottom line of our cities that are going to pay our civil servants. I think most people would agree with that. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a relief for a real estate agent and mortgage loan officers, because when these houses do go into foreclosure, that creates listings, that creates loan opportunities. But even better, what happens is you put somebody in that house who's going to participate with that community by making their house payment and also paying their tax bill. This is a win-win-win as far as I can see. Now, everybody says, oh, Brian, like, you're just being so crass and so it just so hard that you're saying that you want people not in forbearances and you want them to get kicked out of their house. No, that's not the case. I just want people in those houses who are actually paying their taxes and helping the overall community. The fact that we win as an industry, mortgage loan officers and real estate agents, is simply a byproduct of that. I think, what would be considered a very pragmatic view on this. Now, here's something that I think is going to help you out. Rent prices declined for the 8th consecutive month. Exchange apartments are getting to the rental market for the first time. The good news is that rents are trending downward, a trend that has been occurring for the last 8 months, according to a news article by Realtor.com. So rents are coming down. Why is this part of the story, and why is this also great news? Well, you as the astute mortgage loan officer or real estate agent are looking at this information and saying, hey, there might be something I could do about this. Be a little bit proactive and maybe pick up a deal where your competition simply isn't looking. Now, here's my thinking. When you go to work every day, you can do one of two things. You can say, I have to, or I get to. I have to do this, or I choose to do this. Now, since we've all kind of chosen, our lot in life in terms of what we do, I would recommend saying, I get to do this, I choose to do this, I have the privilege to do this. So back to the story at hand. We know right now that foreclosures, though slightly, are going up just a little bit, right? Now, we know rents are going down. Okay, so I know some sucker's in a house right now. I know he's not making his payment. Or I know that he's about to not make his payments. That's even a better one. And I talked about this yesterday. But if I know somebody is probably not making their payment, and I know rents are coming down, boy, isn't that enticing? Hey, let's get you out of this house. Let's get you into that rental, which for the 8th straight month, and that's one hell of a run, prices have come down. You can get out of this situation to where you're going to have to pay not only your mortgage, but you're also going to have to make up for that back mortgage, those back mortgage payments at some point. Or what we can do is just sell the damn house before it becomes a default, before it becomes a foreclosure, and get your butt into one of these cheaper rentals. That seems to make more sense to me. So how do we go about this? Well, there's a number of ways we can do it. My thinking is let's go get ourselves a list. Strangely enough, we know that non-QM loans are performing not as well as our qualified mortgages are for a variety of reasons, but I would suggest something like this. And I said it yesterday, is you want to go find somebody who owns a house right now who has a credit score of 640 or below. It's really that simple. If you're a real estate agent, I'll tell you this, you want to get a list of homeowners who've owned a house for at least 4 years, who've got a 600 or lower credit score. I kind of like the 640 credit score, and the reason is if you're below 600, you're probably already on a notice of default list, and if you're on an NOD list, that means real estate agents are running at you like a pack of hungry hyenas. And I, as a homeowner who've got a 600 credit score, who's already been publicly humiliated on an NOD list, and I've got 50,000 real estate agents coming at me, I really don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to stick my head back in the sand, tell everybody to go screw themselves, and hang up my phone. However, if I have a 640 credit score, that means I probably haven't hit the NOD list yet. I'm going to hit the NOD list. So that, as a real estate agent or lender, I want to get to that person first. How do I get to that person first? Well, there's a million different ways that you can do this, where you can get a list that's going to give you the parameters. The other parameters, again, as I said yesterday, if you want to have somebody who's been in their house for at least 4 years, probably not more than 7 years, that's going to be your sweet spot, right? It really honestly is. So 4 to 7 years, somebody with a 640 or lower credit score, you get that list with phone numbers scrubbed against the do not call list in your community. And you've got a great list of folks who are going to fall into the category of the overall performance of servicing portfolios declining people, and the reason why Cenlar has just appointed a new senior vice president to default operations. Now, if you want to know where and how to get that list, all you have to do is reach out to me here, the National Real Estate Post on Facebook, and share this, and I'll tell you how to get the list. It's really just that simple. So with that said, my friends, I'm going to keep this kind of short and sweet. Do me a favor, share, like, and go to the National Real Estate Post to go check our show out because we'll send it to you free of charge every single day, thenationalrealestatepost.com. It's 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to try to put a smile on your face, give you the date, the most pertinent news articles for the day, a little sales nourishment, and we're not going to sell you something, and we're not going to stick our hand in your pocket, and we're also not going to take your information and sell it off to the highest bidder. With that said, my friends, thank you so much for jumping on today. Talk to you soon. Later, skaters.